Hey guys, what's going on? So, Xenoblade is out. Xenoblade has been out for quite some time, and I kind of just wanted to talk to you guys about my feelings on the Definitive Edition. Obviously, this is not a new game, so I'm not going to go too far into, I guess, the game itself, but rather how I feel about the Definitive Edition's, well, additions. So, yeah, let's just kind of get into it. Now, usually when someone asks me what's my favorite Xenoblade, it's a very easy answer, being the first Xenoblade Chronicles. So when I saw that there was going to be a sort of remake, remaster, whatever you want to call it, I was excited because it's my favorite game in the series by far. Past Xenoblade Chronicles 1, maybe X or Xenoblade 2, I have a different answer nearly every time someone asks me. Although I did definitely enjoy Torn of the Golden Country a lot more than 2, so take that for what it's worth. Replaying Xenoblade Chronicles through the Definitive Edition, I was kinda slightly worried if I was gonna discover that my love for Xenoblade, my favorite JRPG of all time, was just nostalgia and maybe not actual quality. Who knows? You know, it's been a very long time, and I think the last time I played it was the 3DS port, which, let's just be honest here, was a cursed port, and these days doesn't really have much of a reason to exist, especially now that the Switch version is out. But if anything, it has totally reinvigorated my love for the game. I still do truly believe that not only is this easily the best Xenoblade game in the series, and in my opinion it's not even close, but my favorite JRPG game, period. Colony 9 still feels like coming back home. Emotional moments in the story still hit me just as hard as they did when I first played the game, and they still legit make me tear up. Mechanics are simple but fun. Yeah, they're not as, deep, let's say, in particular, like the combat mechanics compared to Xenoblade Chronicles 2, but sometimes, in my opinion, less is more, and sometimes that's all you need. In my opinion, I think that Xenoblade Chronicles 2's battle system, while good, is kind of just overly complicated for no reason. I mean, you can easily, understand it and, take the time to really master it, but most people that I personally knew who actually played Xenoblade Chronicles 2 did not take the time to do that, and the people who did were the only people who went actually towards, end game content. And I feel like once you get a battle system to be that complicated to the point where a large, maybe not a large section, because obviously my circle of friends does not compare to everyone who's ever played the game, but I feel that it was mostly just cluttered, if that makes sense. In this particular case, I think less is more, and for that reason, I still really do love the battle mechanics for Xenoblade Chronicles 1. And the music still does not miss a beat. We have a bunch of remastered tracks this time around, and I want to say most of them are just as good, if not better, than the original game's tracks. The only song I can really think of that, depending on how you listen to it, can be a little divisive, is probably the song Engage the Enemy. I feel like the song, the remastered version, if you're listening on its own, it just has a really out of place opera section with one of the vocals that kind of just overstays its welcome. However, in cutscenes, it doesn't really seem to be that, I don't know, out of place, which is weird to say, but it's generally how I feel. A lot of quality of life improvements were also added to the Definitive Edition. Things like quest trackers and, I want to call it like a fashion gear system. I'm not entirely sure what the exact system is actually called, but I know like that's a big particular thing that I really enjoyed seeing from Xenoblade X, I believe was when it was added. None of these quality of life improvements I would consider to be bad improvements. I've seen some people say that they feel like the quest tracker will somehow make it that, exploration is not as much of a focus as it used to be. Like, people won't be willing to explore as much if the game just tells them where to go. However, I would argue the opposite, because in my particular playthrough, I would sometimes feel like when a quest tells me to go a specific location, before, maybe that location in the distance didn't really seem to be that interesting, or maybe, there's a secret location there that I would never have known about, but now that a quest has told me to go there, I might take a look around while I'm there. Now there's a reason to go there, and people know that there's a reason to go there. Whilst before, the side quests still required you to go there, but it never really told you that, so you kind of just had to randomly explore. So, in a way, you're still kind of exploring the area as much as you want to. I don't feel that this particular quest tracker really, takes away from the exploration. I feel like it actually, depending on how you look at it, gives you a reason to look around that area now, knowing that there's something for you to collect there. So, while you're there to pick it up, you're going to walk around and look around however you want to play the game. While before, you would just wander in that area and, hope that something's there. And then, there's the obvious, better looking visuals, especially when it comes to the character models and that sort of thing. And, there's also, I've seen some arguments about whether or not the art style of the original game is the same as the new game or whether or not it's different. I will say that, in my opinion, in terms of the character models and whatnot, it's definitely different. It's not the same exact art style, but it's not necessarily bad either. It hasn't taken away from my enjoyment of the game, if that makes sense. If I had to choose, I would say I definitely do prefer the art style of the original. However, this is clearly not a design choice from Monolith. They clearly wanted the art style to closely resemble how it looks in the definitive edition. And if that's the case, then I'm totally all for it, because I don't really think there's anything wrong with it, if that makes sense. It's colorful, it looks good, and for obvious reasons that don't need to be mentioned, resolution's higher, it just looks better overall. However, like I said, when it comes to art styles, I do prefer the original, but you can't deny that the newer art style and the newer models and all that are just generally better looking. And I have no problems with that. I think it looks great. So, it hasn't taken away from my enjoyment in any way. And certain characters that are in this game, I feel benefited so much from the upgrading visuals. A big example I can mention is Metalface specifically. And, like I said, I'm going to keep this video with, no spoilers whatsoever in case this is your first time going through Xenoblade Chronicles. Metalface just specifically looks amazing. Like, I think Metalface is one of the best looking characters in this game, if not like one of the best. I think that's like clear as day. I think certain characters look better than others. I think Ricky in particular doesn't really look like much has changed. I mean, I'm sure the resolution's higher and all that stuff, but like he looks better. It's just, when you compare it to, say, like the more human characters or the Mechon, like some of them just look so much better than what they did before. Metalface is such an intimidating character, and seeing him fully realized in HD with better visuals is just a much better end product. So that's kind of all I have time for you guys today. So, let me know if this is your first time playing Xenoblade Chronicles, or maybe this isn't your first time, and let me know why you decided to pick it back up again. Maybe it's for Future Connected. But for this particular video, I'm not really talking about Future Connected. I just wanted to talk about like the changes and how I feel about them. But yeah, that's all. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Shifty, yeah, Shifty, wanna be the #1 gamer, come and get me. It'd be dope if you subscribe, could you like the vid, please? Take your time, you don't gotta do it swiftly. Shifty, Shifty, wanna be the #1 gamer, come and get me.